Okay. I assume that she will be the only one watching this for now, but remember, if you're sick, we will also have it online for you. All right, today we are looking at lessons 7 and 8. And we will be talking about object and objective complements. Now, I think I mentioned the other day that the word compliment does not mean a compliment that I make to you. Hey, I like your mask, or I was wearing my Dr. Seuss one earlier. Did anybody see my Dr. Seuss one? He might have paid me a compliment for the Dr. Seuss mask. Not the same thing. We're not talking about the same compliments. We are talking about something that comes alongside the other part of the sentence to complete it. So the word complement and complete, do you notice anything in common? Anything in common between complement and complete? Well, complement has almost the whole word complete in it. So think about it. It's completing the sentence. So if you have your sheet of paper, which hopefully, I don't see a sheet of paper over here, Mr. Mills. Do you have any paper? Because I think maybe you want to learn to be taking notes since you guys are less than a year away from high school now. I also don't have a clock in this room. I'm discovering things I don't have. Anybody have a watch or a timepiece? And what is the time now? 9? Okay, and does anybody have the schedule in front of them that says what time we are finished in this class?
I think it's until 9:55.
You have, okay. Is it 9:55? Okay. So you'll be my timekeeper. So when we get 10 minutes away from the end of class, just do this or raise your hand or something. Okay, and then we'll work on getting a clock in here. All right, so I always like it if you take notes on, especially the gray box, and also if I do examples on the board, write them down. I make up my own tests for this class, and often I will pull on things I've done in class. So I don't like the tests that they do in here. I don't like all the true and false and all of that. So I create my own. So today we're learning about two things that you should be relatively familiar with, and that is direct and indirect objects. Now the other day, correct me if I'm wrong, we learned about predicate nominatives and adjectives, right? Yes? Okay. The reason sometimes I get confused is I have the 7th grade too. So I can't remember who I've done what with. Now, let me give you a sentence. Bob is sad. Oh, I know, there's my standard. We got to get back to our cake sentences. But I did change it from Mom. Now it's Bob. Now, everybody, where you're sitting, can you see the board okay? No. There's a glare. Let me see if I can pop out the glare by. Did that help it at all? You can also, I know sometimes the lights in my video, there's a light that wants to glare off the board, and I haven't been able to fix that yet. So, we have two sentences. Yes?
I can't find the chapter with that title.
Object complements is on page 37.
Oh, okay, thank you.
May not be far enough in. So, direct and indirect objects are some of my favorite things, because to me they're really easy to identify. Now, in this one, Bob is sad. What is sad? Based on what we learned earlier in the week, what is the word sad? It is an adjective. Yes. It's the predicate adjective. all you would show on a diagram is that it's an adjective. But we do need to know the official title, which is the predicate adjective. Now, does anybody remember what this is called? It's a linking verb. And a linking verb is going to show up when there is a predicate adjective or nominative. So it's going to link. So Bob is being linked to sad. Now, in this one, Bob made a cake. What kind of verb is this? Anybody remember that? We actually haven't talked about it. Anybody remember? Yes. It's action, but what's its fancy name? Starts with a T. Transitive. Now, a transitive verb or an action verb, I can see it in my head. So if you close your eyes, you can see Bob in the kitchen making his cake, turning on his KitchenAid, right? And making the cake and sticking it in the oven. We see Bob doing that. But can I see is in my head? I mean, I could look at and spell it in my head. Can I see is in my head? No. So our transitive verbs are the ones we can see in our head, and they are the ones that have a direct object that comes after them. And the direct object answers the question, Bob, whoops, I put Bab. I guess he would be offended. Bob made, what's the question? No? Bob made what? See, some of you do remember what you learned last year. Bob made what? Bob made a cake. If I had a sentence, the cat ate mustard. The cat ate what? Cat ate mustard. John kicked the ball. John kicked what? John kicked the ball. So we want to be able to answer that what question. And that's what's going to happen with a direct object. So the official definition of a direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of the transitive verb directly. And it answers that what question. Mom did what? Bob did what? John did what? And we know that we can answer it's the direct object. If we can't answer that, it's probably not. Now, some of these guys are going to try to, have I given you, oh, I'm sorry. You ready to do the little checks? All right.
You haven't done them yet, right?
I have not, no.
I'm just going to check.
She's not trying to be mean to you. Did yours ever register on the other one?
No.
Me either. I was slow too. I was slow too.
Just so low.
Don't you just love this? Like one of your memories of middle school. People shooting you in the head with thermometers. Lovely memories. Back in the olden days, it'd stick one in your mouth. I mean, sometimes people still do that at home, but at least we're not in the olden days anymore. I have not done that.
Okay, I'll
Everybody's
fill it out.
here though.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Ella's not, but she's our virtual student.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
She's at home because her family's concerned about the disease. So she's checking in with us on our, it's not live, but on our video. All right, direct object. Indirect object is what? Who remembers what an indirect object is? In your own words. Now remember, you got to speak a little more clearly. This will help with the poetry stuff. You got to speak really clearly and loudly, so you'll be pros at the poetry. Say it again.
Is a noun or a pronoun that receives the action of a
Well, they didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good. Okay, so it's the person. So if I said Bob made Mom a cake, that's the indirect object because she is getting it. If I said Dad gave John a gift, John gave what gift? But did somebody get it? And apparently they did. Dad gave John the gift. Not you, John, but some John gave a gift. Huh?
Is it John getting it?
He is, if that's the indirect object. Okay? So the indirect object, that's the person that's getting it. So don't ever, well, I don't want to say that because the English language can mess us up. I would say rarely, if almost never, is the direct object going to be the person. If there is a person in there that's getting something, that's going to be the indirect object. The thing at the end of the sentence is going to be the direct object. So just remember that. All right. So I've already talked through what they are, and I do want to look at them as far as diagramming. Again, much of this should be old hat to you because we did a lot of it last year. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is so easy and I'm falling asleep, good. I'm glad that you think it's so easy. You are trying not to fall asleep, and this is a terrible eraser, but we'll use it for right now. Okay, so let's try a few, and Wesley, I'm very offended that you're falling asleep, because this is so exciting.
I mean, it is, but
Okay.
it's not like waking up at 6:30.
Well, you're going to get a break here, and just, I know, I don't like waking up at 6:30 either. All right, let's take a look at diagramming, because I want to show you what you do if you have different verbs and different objects. So we're going to look down at this one on page 38. So if you're not looking there, about a third down the page, you'll see a little couple sentences indented. And it says, they heeded Satan and disobeyed God. So this, I think they're retelling the creation story about Adam and Eve. And it just says here, they heeded Satan, disobeyed God. Now, I was wrong. So I said it's that the person is not the direct object. A person can be the direct object, but usually if there's just a direct object in there, the person can be. But if you throw an indirect object in, it's usually not. So I want to clarify that because I'm sure all of you noticed that. And like, oh, this is Jessica just said. Did anybody notice? Did you notice, John? Oh, you didn't. Okay. So anyway, remember that. The person can be who or what. It can be the direct object. But if you have an indirect object thrown in there, it usually changes that. Okay, so let me put this up here. They heeded Satan and disobeyed God. And disobeyed God. All right. Now, who can remind me how I start out my diagramming?
Subject verb.
Subject verb, nice straight line. And we should always have that. There should always be a line with one cutting down through the middle. Where's my subject going to go, Mr. Mills?
They on the left side.
They. And remember to capitalize because that's the first word of a sentence. So when you're diagramming, if the subject, now if it said the cat went to the store and cat is here, you don't capitalize that. All right.
They disobeyed.
Well, we're going to put both in them. So they is the subject of both of this. They both heeded and disobeyed. Okay, but this is where it's going to get a little tricky. And where'd that little eraser go? All right, Mr. Mills, keep me going here.
You split it into like two sections.
So I'm going to do that little pencil point thingy. All right, now what's going to go there? What are my verbs? Let's start with those.
Heated and
Heated.
disobeyed.
All right. So I've got my two verbs in, but now I discover, oh, I can answer that question. What's the question I can answer? They heated who or what? So I can answer that. So now what do I need to do, Mr. Mills?
I put like a small line.
A small line,
and
like a
then,
T.
Put
Satan goes here. Whoops, I spelled his name wrong. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing down here because it's different. Heated Satan, disobeyed God. So I happen to have two direct objects in there. So I need to make sure that I get them separated out on that pencil point. And there are several other examples in here of the double direct object, so you can take a look at this. Now I do want to show you where you put an indirect object, because it would kind of seem like you should put it up on that line, but you don't. So definitely vote for a better eraser. So I'll go get one of those when we take our break. So if you'll take a look at the top of page 39, this is where a lot of students get mixed up because they just don't know where to put those indirect objects, and they end up all over the place. I'm going to go back to mom. Well, let's go revisit mom. Mom baked. Dad a cake. All right. Now I have my regular line there. Who baked the cake? Mom. Good. What did mom do? Baked.
Baked dad.
Well, and that's where you could get in trouble. If you put dad over here in the direct object,
Dad.
you're going
Mom
to be
baked
wrong, big X on your paper. Because mom didn't bake dad. Dad wasn't the object of the baking.
Baked a cake.
She baked the cake.
Mom baked the cake of dad.
Mom baked who or what? Mom baked a cake. Hopefully she didn't bake dad. That would be terrible. But then we find out that it was for dad. And that indirect object is going to come down here on one of these kind of little lines. And we're going to put dad. And it's going to go under the verb.
I thought the bottom one went straight across. Does it go tilted still?
It does go straight across. I was wrong on that. So make it straight. Sometimes they're a little bit more diagonal for other parts of speech. I don't know what other, but dad's going to be on a straight line. So that is the indirect object. Here we've got subject, verb, and this is a verb transitive, direct object, and this is who got that cake. Okay? So make sure that you know that that indirect object is going to go underneath. Now we're spending a lot of time right here on sentence elements, introducing a lot of things, and then as the semester goes on, we actually jump into them a little bit more. So if you're a little unsure of what's going on with all of this, don't panic, because we're going to keep practicing and it's going to show up again. We're going to spend more time on it. So no panicking, right? All right, let's take a quick look at Lesson 8, and I promise quick, and then we're going to do a mask break because I think we all need some fresh air. So take a look at page 41. And we have here, it goes even further. So the first one was object complements. This is objective complements. And these are actually words. It's a noun or an adjective that follows and relates to the direct object. So this is more complements. The first complements were kind of finishing the sentence. With these complements, it's something that helps us understand the direct object. What are you guys looking at back there? Nothing? Okay. So what I want to do is mainly just look at examples, and then we'll probably try class practice. If you've been with me before, you know that I think it's best just to jump in and try some of the class practice. An objective complement, like I said, is a noun or an adjective. It's going to follow your direct object. And if it is a noun, it's renaming the direct object. If it's an adjective, it's describing. Now, what does that sound like? What does that sound similar to? Something that renames the noun or describes the noun. What does that sound similar to? The predicate. Now we're getting really confused. So I've talked about how children in other countries have such a difficult time learning English. This is why. Because we got all these different things that we have to learn. So it is following the direct object, but it is renaming or describing. And they're going to give us some examples here. So here's an example, and sometimes I don't like these. I think this is one I don't like. The boys made the bottom step their base. Base is the noun that names what they made the step to be. So the boys made what? What did the boys make? Step. So they took that step and they made it into something. What did they make it into? A base. So it almost looks like you've got, if you were to answer those what question, the boys made what, you could confuse it and say what word? By accident, what word could you say? Base. But that's not the direct object. The boys made what? The boys made the step. Their base is giving us more information. So when more information comes after that direct object, it's an object complement. Isn't this confusing? Who thinks it's confusing? No one. I guess just me. Okay, let's look at the next one. Mr. Earl considered the stranger's idea quite interesting. So Mr. Earl considered what? Idea. Well, good. You guys are good. You're good at this. Considered what? Considered the idea quite interesting. Now, quite is what? What part of speech is quite? Let's see who is on their game today.
It's like an adjective for interesting.
No. What is the word quite? So Mr. Earl considered the stranger's plan quite interesting. No. You're almost out of adverb. It's to what degree? Quite interesting. So interesting is an adjective. What was his idea? Interesting idea. Okay? Makes sense? So we have a direct object. Now we've got this whole other world of object complements. So let's take, I actually want to jump over to the class practice. So look on page 43. And we're going to look at B. So I'll pick on 6 of you here. Oh, wait a minute. Read the skeleton, trash object. And then go. Oh, we can start. Let's just start with class practice A. That way I think everybody will get one. God created the universe perfect. Now, first of all, if any of you wrote perfect at the end of a sentence like that, I would tell you it sounds awkward. Find something else. It's correct, but it just doesn't sound very good. So let's start with Mr. Mills. And I need for you to tell me the subject, the direct object, and then if there's a complement there, tell me.
This is class practice.
This is class practice A on page 43. Also, if your backpacks get super heavy and you want to take this book out, we have a ton of copies in the basement. So I could have somebody bring them up in the morning. So just be aware of that. If your backpacks are getting really heavy, you can pull this one out, and we've got copies here.
God is the noun, created is the verb, and universe is the direct object.
Okay, and is there a complement?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, so perfect describes universe. All right. In many ways, he made the earth fit for life. Jordan. I'm sorry. Luke. I called Luke by his brother's name again. That's bad.
Is the skeleton and earth is the direct object,
Mm-hmm.
and fit is the object.
Yeah, fit. It's telling us it's a fit earth. So it's an adjective describing that. All right, Mr. Morgan, let's take a shot at this. He considered man the crown of his creation. What's the subject? He considered is the skeleton, yep. And now we've got, so you're getting a little tougher sentence. He considered what? Man, so that's the direct object. And then, is there a complement? Remember, it's going to come right after. The crown, yes. So crown is the complement for that. Okay, the sin of Adam made man a fallen creature, Miss Beeman. Sin made. Mm-hmm. Creature. Now, there's a whole bunch of words. A fallen creature. If you had said the whole thing, you technically wouldn't be right. It's kind of a whole complement phrase. But creature is the word that we're looking for there. Oh, back to Miss Joyce. Before hearing Father's explanation, I thought the task very hard. Now, I just want you to look at I thought the task very hard. So what's the subject in that group of words? I. What's the verb? Yes. Do you have the book? Oh, I'm sorry, 43. And we are on class practice A, number 5. And so it's just that second group of words. I thought the task very hard. So you identified I as the subject. What's the verb? Thought. And then I thought what? The task. And that's the direct object. So what is the complement? What's telling us more information? The hard, yes. Very good. All right, Mr. Pasterfield. This summer we painted our old barn white. So what's the subject? Subject and verb?
Summer,
No.
old
Well, what did we do?
paint,
Painted. Who painted? We. Yeah, so make sure because when you have a whole bunch of words, you got to go and find the two little subject verb. We painted what?
old barn.
The barn. And so that's the direct object. But then, do I have something that tells me more about
Yeah, you painted it white.
white? Very good. All right, let's hop over here to Miss Danchik. David appointed Solomon the next king. King is your complement. What's the subject and verb? And then direct object? Yeah, and then king is renaming him. All right, number 2, Miss Garcia. The old men gave Rehoboam good advice. Men, what did they do? Gave. Who did they give it to? And then what's the complement? Advice. Yeah, it's like if you just follow the track of the sentence, you should be able to get all of these just fine. Okay, Miss Marins. Rehoboam thought the young men's advice more suitable. Yeah. Uh-huh. Good. Yes. And then, I was just looking. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Over here to Katie. Multitudes of Israelites considered the taxes too heavy. Good. Mm-hmm. Correct. And you don't have to put the word too in there. Just the heavy. Why is it Israelites the subject in that one? Who can tell me why Israelites is not the subject? It's in a prepositional phrase. And you know how we feel about prepositional phrases. They can't have subjects in them. All right, and then the last one, Caleb. God gave, or no, wait a minute. The rebellion under Jeroboam divided the kingdom. So what's our subject and verb first? I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
So it's 5.
We are on 5, yes, I'm sorry. So the rebellion under Jeroboam divided the kingdom. So what's the action going in there first? That rebel is normally a verb, but in this case it's turned into a noun. What other action? Divided. What divided the kingdom? And that's where you want to go back to your first word. Rebellion divided it. Rebellion divided what? The kingdom. And so actually we only have a direct object there. So you were lucky. You don't have an object complement. It's just rebellion divided kingdom, and that's it. The kingdom is the direct object. Okay, so I think you guys understand what we're doing here. Your homework is for Thursday, page 39 and 40, and then 43 and 44. So when I do 2 lessons like this, sometimes the homework gets long. So kind of look at it ahead of time. I've given you odds. We will settle into like just 1 lesson, maybe 2 on the videos, but set your timer. You get a total of, I don't know what the total is for
Thursday?
on Thursday for grammar and writing.
I think for a lot of the classes, it's about an hour.
Okay.
And I think history gets a bit more and Latin gets a bit less.
Well, we're going to talk about writing in a little bit.
Right.
So, yeah, so I generally 30, 40 minutes for the grammar piece is about what you should be taking. Set your timer. If you go much longer than that, have your mom write me a note. Okay? So, let's put our stuff down and we get to go outside and take a break and get these things off. Make sure you're grabbing some water or whatever liquid you have with you so that you get a drink. Nope, hold on to those. You might need them for writing.